Okay, now we're here with Adam, and he's going to tell us all about good maintenance tips to keep your car safe and ready to roll. Adam, what can you tell us?
Well, I actually took some notes. If you don't mind, I'd like to look at a couple of things.
Not a problem, not a problem.
The first step is really coming to realize that you actually need car repair. A lot of people like to ignore things. You know, they hear a noise, oh, that'll go away, or you know, they smell something or see something, or a light comes on the dash, and then they decide that, you know, I actually need to do something. So that's the first thing. You got to come to that realization. Nobody wants to fix their car. You know, it costs money, but you know, if you put it off, it could end up costing you more in the long run.
Absolutely.
So next thing is you got to decide on a place to go. So I mean, there's lots of different things that you got to come up with when you're deciding on where you're going to go. You may have a specific problem. You got to go to a specialized repair shop, like say a transmission shop or a body shop, you know, depending on what you need. But when it comes to auto repair, there's lots of decisions. Pretty much in today's automotive repair industry, most shops who do anything with automotive repair claim to be Total Car Care. Just be careful about where you go, because just because they say they do Total Car Care, it may not actually fit the needs for what you really need or you think Total Car Care is.
Can I ask you a question about
Sure,
that?
absolutely.
Would you say would those places be more expensive than like a Total Car Care place or special places? What's about the best way to go as far as trying to just pick the best location?
A specialty place, I mean, if they specialize in transmission, you probably want to go to them, okay? Midas, you know, can do some transmission work, but we don't rebuild transmissions. You got to go to them, and you're probably going to save more money in the long run because they really know what they're doing. If you go to a place that just says that they can do that kind of thing, they may or may not be able to, and they may end up outsourcing the work anyway, and it may cost you more in the long run. So as far as like Total Car Care and different places that do more things, yeah, I mean, places are going to vary. I mean, depending on, you know, what kind of quality of parts they use, you know, what kind of quality of help that they have, what the facility is like, you know, that's going to make or break the difference on what the pricing may be. I mean, we have a saying in our industry, you know, you get what you pay for, you know. So there's another thing I wanted to point out is that when you're deciding where you're going to go, there's lots of different things you want to take into consideration. You want to take into consideration how long it's going to take. I mean, you got those garages where you see cars all over the lot, and it's going to be 2 weeks before they'll even look at your car. So if you want your car fixed sooner, you might want to go with a place that can get it in a timely manner. You want to think about the warranties they offer, the inspection fees that they might have to check things out. And a lot of places, a lot of mainstream places nowadays will do free basic inspections on regular maintenance items. So, you know, you don't always have to pay. Just because you go into somewhere doesn't mean you always have to spend money. You know, a lot of people will try to earn your business by doing a free inspection for you just to check it out.
Good deal, good deal. Now, doing free inspections definitely helps out, because you can also figure out if whatever the problem is. You don't have to just guess around. Sometimes people go to get their car worked on, and they're kind of like, you know, it's like a shot in the dark. So when you get somebody that can kind of give you a free estimate or basic, you know, coverage. I mean, basic. What is that? A diagnostic over?
Diagnosis.
A diagnosis. Okay, then that kind of helps you out. Good deal. That's good.
Yeah, and there's a difference. I mean, there's diagnostics. I mean, a lot of places, if they claim to do diagnostics, you know, I mean, there's two ways to do it. You know, diagnostics can be just a free checkup where you just look the car over and see what's going on, and maybe you take some things apart to look at stuff. And then there's more complicated diagnostics, and your complicated diagnostics, anybody who really knows what they're doing is going to charge you for a complicated diagnosis, because if they're not charging you for it, I don't know that I trust that, because they may not even really know what they're talking about. Now, there's always caveats to every situation, you know, and it really, when you finally decide on that place you're going to go to, that's the next step. You decided the place, you've done your research. Let those people do their thing. I mean, they are trained professionals for the most part of what they do. Let them do their thing, and then let them tell you what needs to be done with your vehicle. They'll make their suggestions. They'll tell you what may be required to make it safe again, or they'll suggest something that'll help prevent bigger problems in the future. And then it's really going to be up to you at that point. You need to, you know, ask them if you can see what's going on. A lot of them will educate you very thoroughly, and I would be a little leery of the place that won't let you see what's going on and doesn't give much information as far as education. They basically said, yeah, it's this, take it or leave it. I mean, I don't think there's too many places that really do that anymore, but a place that would, I'd be a little leery of that. I'd want to see, and I think seeing is believing, and once they show you can understand better what's going on.
Good deal. Good deal.
So, and when they finally give you that diagnosis, okay, there's almost always going to be options, and that's what you need to figure out, what option is best for you. So sometimes you're going to decide that you're going to keep your vehicle for a long time. Sometimes, you're deciding that I just need to get this by for a little while. And so what I like to do is I like to ask people that question. If the place isn't asking that question, you need to think about it yourself. So if you're going to keep the vehicle for a long time, you might want to go with a higher quality part because it's going to last longer. Almost every single repair that a repair shop can do has different levels of parts, and they're fit for different kinds of customers. The customer that doesn't want to spend too much because they're not going to keep it, or the customer who wants better quality. Whether they're going to keep it or not keep it, some people do want the higher quality. So definitely take that into consideration.
So you would say that obviously more expensive parts just means that a lot of times it means that it's just going to help your car last longer, or the part will last longer in the vehicle, ideally. And sometimes in the long run, it may be more cost effective than just trying to do the short thing
Most definitely in the long run of it. So let's take a wheel bearing for example. Okay, wheel bearings are a very common problem on a car. Every car has them. They all have 4 of them. And that's a really good example if they have premium parts and they have cheaper parts. If you really don't know if you're going to keep the vehicle that long, you might want to put the cheaper part, but you better be prepared that, that same problem is going to come back a lot sooner than if you went with that premium part. Because usually when somebody, let's take a timeline from brand new to when they needed it, it's usually, 6, 7, 8 years. And you can put that cheaper part on that's got a 90-day warranty, or you can put that more expensive part that's more like the part that came on it originally, and you may not have to worry about it again for 8 or 9 years. So it really, that's one way you really got to look at it. And so think about it, you spend a little bit more now, you can save yourself a lot of money later by not having to do it all over again. So you've decided what you're going to do, and you went to the place and they told you what's wrong. You need to, at that point, you need to take all the education you've done, the research beforehand, the education that they've given you, what you've seen for yourself. And then at that point, if everything feels right and it needs to be done, you need to trust your gut instinct and go with it. If for some reason that it doesn't feel right and they didn't want to show it to you and they said it could probably wait if it had it to, you may want to just go ahead and wait on it and try to figure out what is the right thing for you. I mean, there still are places out there, that may try to get you to do things that don't necessarily have to be done immediately, and may portray it in a different manner. So just try to go with your gut instinct at that point. Then there's the whole subject of preventative maintenance.
Yes.
Just a whole different deal. Oil changes, for example. I always tell people oil changes are one of the most important things that you can do for your vehicle. Theoretically, if you can keep clean oil in your car, your engine will probably last, potentially forever. I mean, I guess, figuratively speaking,
right.
Not realistically is it going to last forever, but cars can last for a very long time, but they will have much more problems if you don't go in for the regular checkups and things like changing oil. One thing I do like to tell people also is that engine is one of the biggest, most expensive repairs on your car. And nobody wants to put an engine in their car. That's something you'll try to avoid no matter what you got to do. And if you can keep clean oil in your car and keep your car from overheating, you'll probably be able to avoid having to replace that engine. If you don't change your oil regularly, or you let your car overheat, you better just be expecting that you're going to be putting an engine in your car or just getting a different car at that point. Then there's also fluid changes. Fluid changes are one of those things where a lot of customers, they don't know if they should do it or not. You've got antifreeze, you've got transmission fluid, power steering fluid, brake fluid. They all have a job, okay? And they're all fluids, just like oil, and they break down. Now, they have longer life expectancies than oil, but they still have to be changed from time to time. So if you do change them when they're supposed to be changed, and your owner's manual will usually tell you when you should.
Okay.
Or you can go online and get some research there, and they'll tell you when you should. then you can help prevent a lot of bigger problems. So clean antifreeze, you prevent things like radiators and head gaskets going bad. Clean transmission fluid, transmission's one that you definitely don't want to have to replace, and on down the line. So you want to make sure that knowing when to do the right preventive maintenance. At the same time, some places don't know when you've done that stuff, so you got to keep good records of it.
Oh,
because
good.
they might over recommend replacing it, because a lot of fluid recommendations are based off mileage. And if they don't know when the last time they did it, they can't look at your fluid and tell that. I mean, there are the ways they can tell that if looking at your fluid that it definitely is bad, but there's also things that they can look at your fluid and have no idea, but they need to make that recommendation, and you can overpay for maintenance. So having a good record of what you do, when it's supposed to be done, could really help save you a lot of money over the lifetime of the vehicle.
Absolutely.
Same thing with oil too. I mean, it used to be that everybody changed their oil every 3 months or 3,000 miles, but now the manufacturers are, and the repair facilities are getting more conscious about this, of following the manufacturer's recommendation. Some vehicles are once every 5,000 miles, some are every 7,500 miles, some are every 10,000 miles. Now, of course, the ones that go longer, they're more expensive oils to begin with, but overchanging oil isn't good for anybody. You know, it really isn't. It's a waste on the environment,
Yes.
and it's also bad on your pocketbook.
Right.
So basically, the best case scenario that I see, you know, is you found a place that you think is fair, you trust them, and then whenever you need something, you've got a place to go. If you can find that, you should try to stick with that. And if you haven't yet, the other things I wanted just to, as summary about everything else we said, don't wait too long, educate yourself as much as possible, and preventative maintenance will help you keep that car longer and lower your cost of your ownership, okay?
Good deal. Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you
We really
very much.
appreciate it. And that right there is a great way to help start saving money with your vehicle. You spend $30,000 to $50,000 on a car, you want to take good care of it.